I have, great kids that, really lift me up during the course of the day, great parents. I'm very fortunate that I got involved in real estate. I got involved in, refpicks.com and, this movie Inside Game, which is, a great message. So I think it's going to really lead to some bigger and better things.
Do you enjoy doing these interviews, Tim, or is it kind of painful for you?
But to be honest with you, it's painful to a certain extent that to continue to relive it. It's the story that won't ever die because it's got all those things in it that people love. It's gambling, it's women, it's drugs, it's the mob, and it's all portrayed and played out great in the movie, and that's why I think people are going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. Your dad, is a Final Four official, which obviously helped you move along the referee ranks. Not saying you weren't incredibly qualified, Tim, but it's such a competitive thing. You need that name recognition, and you had it. And I know that your dad has pushed you to say, hey, okay, whatever's in the future, you're going to be the best you can at that. But somebody who did actually do the job, was it more perhaps extra hard for him to digest what had gone on?
Oh, no doubt about it. I think it was very difficult for him once he really realized what I did and what I was involved in. But I have to give him a lot of credit. When I called him in 2007 on Father's Day to wish him a happy Father's Day, he said to me within 30 seconds, you don't sound right. What's wrong? And, I told him what I did. And he said, listen, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but, I'll be with you every step of the way. So just try and stay calm. And the relationship between me and my father is portrayed really well in the movie. And you'll see that. And that's what makes it so important to me that, it really shows the choices and it shows how important family is.
Now that is a great parent, right?
Yes, no doubt.
Because your kids aren't going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. What are you going to do when they do? Even if it's...
Right, and I made a mistake in front of the whole world. I embarrassed not only myself but them. So for them to do what they did and stand by me the way they did is something that I'm very, very grateful for.
Yeah. I'm actually feeling the emotion on that one right now. That's a big time dad right there. Let me ask you a couple questions on the court before you go here, Tim. We're all looking forward to seeing the movie Inside Game. Well, number one, you're on the court in the Malice in the Palace. If you could rewind back to that night and do something different so that doesn't happen, was there anything that you could have done that we could have avoided Ben Wallace and Ron Artest and the whole thing?
As a referee, there's always something you can do when a situation like that exists. I had grabbed Ron Artest and tried to hold on to him from, going up into the stands. I think if I would have gotten to him a little bit sooner and maybe tried to talk to him before he ran up there, it could have avoided that whole situation because that's when it escalated to the next level. So, looking back, I should have probably got to him sooner.
Yeah. I mean, Ron's a crazy man, but he's also a very likable guy at the same time, correct?
Absolutely. Like I just said in a lot of these interviews I'm doing, people don't realize that when the players go onto the court, their adrenaline and their competitiveness gets the best of them, and they really turn into somebody that they're not off the court. So, the competitive nature really spills out into a lot of these sporting events.
Would you say that about Rasheed Wallace, who waited in a parking lot to kick your ass?
Absolutely, I would 100%.
Really?
I've talked to him, yes. I've talked to him since this whole thing went down, and it shocked me with how well he treated me and how the well wishes came out of his mouth, and I can tell that he was truly sincere. And this is a guy that I squared up the fist fight with, and he was fined $1 million and suspended. So for him to do that, it just shows you what type of character he has.
He was fined $1 million for the parking lot fight, is that right?
Yeah, because he was suspended, I believe, for 7 games. It was the longest suspension ever given at the time, and it cost him well over $1 million.
And when did he come and apologize to you about it?
I did a radio interview in Charlotte, and he was one of the co-hosts of the radio show, and we had talked on there, and then he called me afterwards, and he couldn't have been nicer.
Wow. Go Sheed. So a guy like that, he's super competitive on the court, and he can't let it go for a while after. And so he's still steaming in the parking lot. But years after, he's good, basically.
Yeah, he was a complete gentleman, and I couldn't have been more grateful and appreciative for everything he said to me.
Let me go back into the league office here. How does, we'll go back in the day, David Stern, or now, I don't know if you believe that, Adam Silver and company. I'm sure that the NBA has an agenda that they want. How do they convey that to the referees going into a game where you end up having back in the day, a Lakers-Sacramento situation or something now where everyone thinks that the NBA wants these teams in the finals. I don't know if you believe that. I think you believe that still goes on. I'm curious how the message gets sent down.
Absolutely. What they do is they put referees in a room and they show them tapes of previous games of the teams that are playing that night, and they point specific things out that they want those referees to call that night. And it always is putting a team at an advantage or a disadvantage. And we as referees knew that and would walk out of those meetings shaking our heads saying, geez, they want the Lakers to win tonight or they want Dallas to win tonight. So it's the way they program and train the referees, especially in the playoffs, of what to go out and look for. And because they're being graded on that, the referees go out and do it.
Now, my question on that is, why would the NBA risk, having one playoff matchup, total drop in the bucket, versus, a huge scandal coming out? Wouldn't they think, look, if we don't get the Lakers in the finals, that's going to suck this year, we're going to lose some money, but grand scheme of things, no big deal.
Well, when David Stern did an interview, it's a famous interview he did on national TV when the reporter said to him, what's your favorite matchup that could take place in the NBA Finals this year?
Right,
and with a smirk on his face, he said the Lakers versus the Lakers.
Right.
And, we knew that was important, and it's the bottom line. And Dick Bavetta, who was our top referee on the staff at the time, said he was the NBA's go-to guy, that he was put on certain games to have a certain outcome. And, I never forgot that. And a lot of times where I passed information along, it had to do with Dick Bavetta.
See, I hated Dick Bavetta growing up, Tim, because I was a Bulls fan, and they would play the Pistons, and I swear to God, he wanted Detroit to win. And I know Michael Jordan had issue with Dick Bavetta.
Oh, Michael Jordan had a summer camp, I'm sure you're aware of it, for young men to play in, and some of the referees would go to that camp and officiate for him. And he would tell them, during breaks, what's up with Dick Bavetta? We all know he cheats. When he's in our games, we just hope he's cheating for us that night. So it's not like the players didn't know, that certain things were going on.
Yeah, I'm just rewinding back, and Michael wasn't quite Michael at that point. We're talking late '80s. They hadn't won a title yet, but I would still think the league would have wanted Chicago and the Bulls versus Detroit, but it wasn't going on.
Yeah, it wasn't going on at that time, and you never know what the agenda was at that time or what the rating situation is. But it always just seems that they want that big market team to get in, and sometimes they program and train the referees to referee the names on the front and the back of the jerseys rather than enforcing the rules as they're written in the rule book, and that's where they get in trouble, and that's when their fan base starts to see that it's more of a form of entertainment than a competitive natured sport.
Right. I don't know if you agree with this line of thinking too, but my idea is that, look, you can have as big a scandal as you want. Pete Rose, baseball, steroids, baseball, gambling, Tim Donaghy, basketball. Fans are addicted to the sport, to the games, to the action. None of it matters. They will forget it the next day because they love watching the game and they love to gamble. So I don't even think there's a scandal that could knock sports off the pedestal because we are just that addicted to it.
No doubt about it. I think when you look at that and how gambling is just taking over now, it's going to even just become more of a billion-dollar business each year for a lot of these sporting teams because you're going to be doing interactive gambling from your seat in every arena in the next couple of years where even though it's a 20, 25-point blowout, you're staying in your seat because you want to see if James Harden hits his 10th three-pointer because you have the over and you just bet $1,000 for it. So there's going to be a lot of ways that the NBA is going to capitalize from this moving forward, and they're going to need to do it because it seems like they're just having, revenue loss from the China situation. So they're going to be very, competitive and come up with ways that they can take a part of the action and profit from it.
A lot of greed there, Tim, that you're naming, because the NBA is fine. They don't need China's money, right? I mean, it's not like the league's going away. Guys are making $30 million. Jaylen Brown, who, nice player, but come on. Why not on some level not want to ski behind 15 yachts and, one yacht's good enough. I can water ski right here. Well,
the prices of these NBA franchises have gone through the roof, so they have to continue to bring that revenue in to capitalize on it. And I think that you're never going to stop. You're always going to try to find new revenue streams And that's just the way the business world is. You want to make that bottom line grow each and every year, and the NBA is no different.
Okay. Where does Tim Donaghy go from here?
Tim Donaghy goes tonight to the film festival in Los Angeles, California, and watches another episode of Inside Game and does some questions and answers. Afterwards, jumps on a plane tomorrow, goes back to his 4 beautiful daughters, and continues to try to be the best parent and best person he can be.
And did I hear you say you're doing real estate on the side, or is that part of your deal?
Yes, I do a little bit of real estate, some work with refpicks.com, and a lot of marketing for this movie that I believe has a really great message and Inside Game, and I think it's a great learning experience for everybody that watches it.
And where will people be able to see the movie?
It'll be in 30 NBA cities throughout the country, and once it opens up, I believe it's going to spread out, into some of the smaller cities. But for now, we're in the 30 NBA cities, and it's going to open up November 1st throughout the country.
Awesome. All right, Tim, last one before you go. Michael Jordan is my hero. If you walked down the street and shot someone, I would say he did it in self-defense. So please tell me one Michael Jordan story that I will remember and enjoy.
Well, I don't have a Michael Jordan story, but how about if I hit you with a Dennis Rodman Chicago Bulls story?
Sure.
Dennis Rodman's warming up, and after each layup, he's coming back and standing near me, getting back in line. He's putting both hands down his pants, and he's scratching his nuts like crazy. He does this 5 times. Finally, after the 5th time, I said to him, Dennis, what are you doing? And he looked at me, he says, Tim, I had almonds for lunch, and it flared up my herpes. And what I'm thinking is, Dennis Rodman's going to get 15 rebounds tonight, touching the ball that I'm going to have to touch all night, and it just kind of grossed me out.
That's unbelievable. He had the almonds for lunch, and he's busting out that he's got the herp going on, and he tells the referee. Yeah. What did you even say back to him?
I had my jaw dropped, and all I kept thinking was there better be a lot of towels underneath this basket so I can wipe down this ball in my hands every time I touch it.
Did you like Dennis, or was he a big pain in the ass?
Loved him. No, I loved him. He was a good guy, played hard, and really never didn't give the refs too many problems.
Did you? I'm trying to think back your time, 94 to 07. So you never reffed Lambeer, correct?
Lambeer was my first year. I gave him 1 technical foul in the second preseason game I had refereed. So I did referee him for 1 year.
I still hate that guy. What would you say?
He's a tough guy. Yeah, he's a tough guy. Played dirty, and was somebody you loved to be on the floor with as a teammate and hated to play against.
Who was your least favorite guy to ref?
Rasheed Wallace, because every time I went out on the floor, it was a problem. And, you were just ready for that. And we used to bet in the locker room $20 a guy to see who would be the first person to give him a technical foul.
But you appreciate Sheed. Now, who are you still maybe sort of holding a little bit of a grudge against?
Nobody. I have no room in my life for that. I'm hoping people are, not holding grudges against me and continue to look at me and understand I made some poor choices and made some mistakes. So I don't have animosity towards anybody. Fair enough.
Let me ask it a different way. Who did you ref that committed 17 million fouls and never thought they once fouled anyone?
Rasheed. He never thought he could whack somebody against the head. He could be bleeding from his nose, and he starts screaming and cursing at you like, why are you calling this? I didn't touch him.
She was a beauty. Tim,
yes.
Great to talk to you. Best of luck with the movie. I'm looking forward to watching it, Inside Game, and thanks for sharing so much today. And on the way out here, props to your dad, Mr. Donaghy. You're a star. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks, pal.
That was fun talking with Tim Donaghy. Looking forward to seeing the movie. All right, let's wrap up. My final thoughts. And yes, I'm going to talk about the quarterback of the Chicago Bears and the head coach, Matt Nagy. A lot of Bears fans are turning on Nagy right now. I happen to not be one of those people. I don't have a huge issue with the fact that he didn't run the ball for 3 more yards to set up the kicker. And I don't think he was right, and I don't like the philosophy, but I'm not going to kill him for it. And maybe the Bears need somebody else calling plays other than Matt Nagy. I'm open to that as well. But the biggest issue with the Bears is the quarterback. Let's not get it twisted. Mitchell Trubisky
mid-30s now as far as games started in the NFL. He cannot